What's up, guys? This is Ed Shreds, and I wanted to talk about a topic very close to my heart today. As someone who is an extensive researcher in music theory, um, and the lead guitarist of a band too, and a humongous fan of Alan Holdsworth and Guthrie Govan and what was going on in their heads, and what is going on in Guthrie's head. Their approach to this instrument is just so fantastic. You know, whereas traditional guitarists stick to scales and runs and standard chords and things that get them by. Or, you know, you might level up occasionally the guitarist that might explore chords and colors that are outside of that, traditional, those traditional colors. So I wanted to talk about Alan Holdsworth's Nevermore chords. They are so intriguing because instead of a standard C major 7, Alan Holdsworth might be more prone to do something like this. Now, this isn't a second inversion, right? Because our G is on the top. But it's just a different way of stacking the notes of a C major 7 to give it that augmented lifting feel. The reason we have that augmented lifting feel is because of the E aug that we have here as our chord base. Right? We have this E, B, C. Gives it that E augmented feel. And then the G up there gives it our C major 7 feel. So it's an augmented chord that also feels like a C major 7, but both an augmented chord at the same time. They're very pretty. Those first two chords in Nevermore, for example, those beautiful based around A. He's doing the same kind of structure. He's starting with that kind of that augmented chord. Then again. So they're major 7 chords or major 9 chords or whatever you want to call them. But they add that augmented fifth inverted from its root position that gives it that lifting feeling. For instance, if I just think something up here, we can use these kinds of colors here. Sorry, I'm trying to show the camera the best I can. This is a G major chord, but it's what we like to call in music as a spread voicing, right? So very pretty, right? And we can move the same shape around. We can change it up, make it more minor, right? Right? Since we're in G, though, if we're going by scalar modes, that F at the end, right? You'd want that to be major. You want a nice, pretty. So basically, if you think something up like this using advanced choral voicings, of what all my jazz heads will note is what we were doing is we were using tritone substitutions here, right? We went to that E minor 9, D minor 9, we got to a C major 9. We worked our way back up. Then we hit that G7 to a beautiful C major 13 chord, which is the king of resolution. Or you could even spice it up more. did there was modal interchange. We took the same chordal shape, we moved it up, we went to minor, we resolved, right, on that E major 9, and then we turned it using the Dorian. We used modal interchange to get it to F sharp minor. Which allows us to resolve on a D major 13 chord. Beautiful. So all of this, it's really kind of nonsense. But here's the trick I really wanted to get to you guys today. Alan Holdsworth, for example, if we take kind of the beginning of City Nights, right? You know, when he does that. That right there, this lick. But what he's doing there is he's got this stretch, right? He goes to the minor third, he's literally just doing an A minor arpeggio using a stretched fingering. See if you can see that. He's going 12, 15, 19. Then he goes up to the B. And this is really interesting. Goes to the B. What he's doing there, G major 7 arpeggio. So he's starting on the minor chord and going down a half step to the major, right? This is almost like a 2-5-1, right? When you go right? So he's doing a 2-5-1. So what this allows us to kind of perceive when we're just soloing and trying to figure out a new place to go, instead of using traditional theory, oh, what's the fourth, what's the odd fifth, what's the back door, you know, stuff like that. We don't need to necessarily worry about that. A common thing Holdsworth did is he used the Dorian scale or other modes of major, maybe it's Phrygian, to get to entirely different places. For instance, if he was soloing in A minor, what he might do is he might end on that A, then go down to the minor 7, the G, and then you might go a half step up to imply a harmonic minor. But instead, he uses that as his way of getting to an entirely different scale. Isn't that beautiful? So what he's doing is he's going, and now just like that, we're in C minor. So he's using the major third or the fourth or the major 7th and using that as his anchor note to switch to another major scale. So what he's doing is he takes the minor 7th of the major scale, goes a half step up to the major 7th of the A major scale, and uses that to get to, you know, whether it be E flat major like I did there, or you can use it as the octave to get, you know, to get to like a G sharp major scale. Whatever you want to use it for. And this is beautiful because it's instant modal interchange. Here's just an example of me playing. So what we're doing there is we're almost just playing random notes, but we're not. We're borrowing tones from adjacent and parallel scales to get to those scales. So for example, here's some scalar stuff and just using these voicings that we were talking about. So again, that's all scalar stuff, you know. We're almost going to random places, but we're not. These are all chords within the C major index. We're just hopping and skipping and jumping around standard chord progressions, choosing alternate places to go. For instance, I didn't necessarily have to resolve to that C major 13 after the B diminished scale. Instead, I could have gone to E major 13. Notice how that works too, right? We're borrowing again. So these are all just ideas. So whether you're playing around with something very beautiful and scalar, so it's very beautiful, and I'm just fiddle farting around, just giving you modal examples and ideas of movement. So yeah, try this in your scales. Try just, in a scale, stop on a note, go back to the previous one, go to the note in between, take that into a major scale, wherever your mind wants you to go. It's a freedom of improvisation, and it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Happy practicing.